when an old man walked into the shelter. With his blind daughter, the staff smiled warmly. Everyone expected a simple adoption. We'll find her the perfect guide dog, the receptionist said. The staff had already prepared a list of calm, obedient guide dogs. But before anyone could speak, a deep growl echoed from the end of the hallway. Behind the steel bars of cage 12 stood a scarred German shepherd, once a proud K9, now labeled dangerous. The other dog stayed silent, but this one barked wildly, teeth bared. The girl, unfazed, tilted her head. "Daddy," she whispered, "I want this one." Everyone froze. "Stay away from that one," a worker warned. "He's dangerous." A retired K9 that lost his handler. "Sweetheart, he's broken," the old man said softly. But she only smiled, reaching her hand toward the cage. "No, Daddy, he's just sad." What happened next would leave everyone in the shelter speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The shelter smelled faintly of disinfectant and wet fur as Henry, a retired police officer, guided his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, through the narrow hallway. Her small hand clung to his coat sleeve, her white cane tapping softly against the tiled floor. Lily had been blind since the accident 2 years ago, the one that took her mother and her sight. "Don't worry, sweetheart," Henry said, forcing a smile. "We'll find you the perfect guide dog today." Rows of dogs barked eagerly as they passed, tails wagging, paws scratching at the bars, but Lily's face stayed still. "They're all loud," she whispered. "None of them feel right." Then a low, guttural growl echoed from the end of the corridor. The staff froze. "Stay back," one of them warned. "That's cage 12. Retired K9. Name's Rex. He's unpredictable." Henry's gaze shifted toward the shadowed cage. A pair of piercing eyes stared back, cold and broken. The tag read, "Do not approach." But Lily tilted her head, listening carefully. "He's not angry," she said softly. "He's sad." Before anyone could stop her, she took a small step forward, reaching her hand toward the bars. The shelter fell completely silent. The air around cage 12 felt heavier, colder somehow. Henry stood protectively behind Lily as the shelter manager hesitated. "That dog's name is Rex," she said quietly. "Former police. K9. He lost his handler during a warehouse explosion 6 months ago. Ever since then, he's been unpredictable." Henry's eyes softened. He'd seen that look before, in soldiers, in officers, and now in a dog. It wasn't rage. It was grief. Rex's deep brown eyes locked on Lily. His lips curled, a low growl rumbling in his chest. "Sweetheart, step back," Henry warned. But Lily shook her head. "Hi, Rex," she said softly, her voice trembling, but steady. "I know. You're sad. I can feel it." The growl faltered for the first time. The big German shepherd didn't lunge, didn't bark. He just stared. The air went still. Henry frowned. "That dog hasn't let anyone close for months," whispered the staff member. Then Rex did something no one expected. He took a cautious step forward, pressing his nose gently against the bars where Lily's small hand rested. Tears filled Henry's eyes as the manager whispered, "He's never done that before." And in that fragile, silent moment, the broken K9's heart began to heal, guided not by sight, but by innocence. Henry's pulse quickened as the cage door creaked open. "Are you sure about this?" the shelter manager asked nervously. "If he snaps, he won't," Lily interrupted softly. Her blind eyes faced the trembling shadow inside the cage. "He just needs someone to trust him again." Rex stood frozen, muscles tense, his breathing sharp and uneven. The scars on his muzzle told stories of battles fought and trust betrayed. Every instinct in Henry screamed to pull Lily back, but he couldn't move. Something in her calm voice had even silenced the fear in him. Lily knelt down, her small hand trembling slightly. "It's okay, boy," she whispered. "You don't have to be afraid." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then slowly, Rex lowered his head. The growl that had filled the air faded into a faint whimper. Inch by inch, he moved closer until his cold, wet nose brushed against Lily's hand. The shelter fell completely silent. Henry exhaled shakily, watching his daughter stroke Rex's fur for the first time. The dog's body relaxed, his eyes softening, as if the years of pain and loss were melting away under her touch. "See, Daddy," Lily whispered with a smile. "He's not bad. He's just broken." Henry wiped his eyes, whispering back, "Maybe we all are, sweetheart." That day the cage door didn't just open for Rex. It opened the door to a second chance neither of them knew they needed. From the moment they brought Rex home, something remarkable began to happen. The once broken K9, who'd spent months snarling behind steel bars, now followed Lily with unwavering devotion. He matched every step she took, pausing when she paused, nudging gently whenever her cane missed a corner. It was as if he'd been waiting his whole life for this one duty to be her eyes. Henry watched in awe as days turned into weeks. He'd find them sitting together in the garden, Lily reading aloud in her soft, steady voice while Rex listened, head resting on her lap. At night, when nightmares made Lily cry out, Rex would climb beside her bed and press close until she fell back asleep. But Rex's instincts hadn't dulled. One bright morning at the park, his ears shot up, hackles rising. Before Henry could react, Rex barked fiercely and pulled Lily backward, just as a speeding car jumped the curb where she'd been standing seconds earlier, heart racing. Henry dropped to his knees, wrapping both arms around the dog. "You saved her," he whispered. Rex only wagged his tail, eyes calm and steady on the little girl. From that day forward, Henry no longer called Rex her dog. He called him family. The night the storm rolled in, the wind screamed through the cracks of the old farmhouse. Rain battered the windows as thunder shook the walls. Henry was in the basement fixing the fuse box when lightning struck nearby. The power went out completely. Upstairs, Lily stirred awake to the faint smell of smoke. "Daddy," she called, her voice trembling. No answer. The air was thickening fast. Flames had sparked in the kitchen. Panic filled her chest, but before she could move, Rex was there. The German Shepherd grabbed her sleeve, gently, tugging her toward the hallway. "Good boy," she whispered, trusting him completely. But when Henry collapsed on the basement steps, overcome by smoke, Rex turned back without hesitation. The dog plunged through the haze, teeth gripping Henry's jacket, dragging him inch by inch toward safety. When firefighters arrived minutes later, they found Lily clutching Rex, both coughing, but alive, and Henry, barely conscious, lying beside them. "You saved us, Henry," whispered Horace, tears cutting through the soot on his face. Rex lowered his head beside Lily's chest, rising and falling in rhythm with hers, the rhythm of two hearts that refused to give up on each other. Months later, the community center was filled with applause as Lily stood proudly on stage, her hand resting on Rex's head. Her father, Henry, sat in the front row, tears shining in his eyes. The principal smiled warmly and announced, "Today we honor Rex, the first retired K9, officially certified as a child's guide dog." The audience erupted in cheers. But Lily simply smiled, lowering her hand to feel Rex's soft fur. "He's more than my guide," she said softly into the microphone. "He's my best friend, my eyes and my hero." Henry's throat tightened. He remembered the broken dog behind cold steel bars, and the little girl who saw light where no one else could. That night back home, the fire crackled softly as Lily leaned against Rex, humming her favorite tune. Henry watched them in silence, peace finally settling into his heart. "Daddy," Lily said suddenly, her voice tender. "When we met him in the cage, everyone said he was dangerous. But I heard something different." "What did you hear, sweetheart?" Henry asked gently. She smiled, her fingers tracing Rex's collar. "I heard his heart calling for love." Henry blinked back tears. "And you answered." As the camera faded out, Lily whispered into Rex's ear, "Thank you for finding me. Sometimes the ones we rescue are the ones who rescue us."